Did you happen to see or listen to my episode, We Buy Ugly Houses? Well, in that episode, we talked about wholesaling, the purchase and contract of buying a property that's pretty much off market, that might be hard to sell, and you buy it at a discount. And you buy it, hopefully, at its value. Hopefully, for the seller's benefit, you buy it at its value. And I promised you that I have known so many people in that world of flipping who are very honest and do the very best they can to work in that very quiet section of real estate where there are private sales, where there's renovation and resale. And about a month ago, I interviewed Suzanne Sharkey, and she is such a flipper. Well, she said to me, Mary, let's talk about creative financing. And so I said, okay, let's talk about it. So today we're back with Suzanne Sharkey, and we are going to be talking about non-traditional financing of real estate purchases. You might be interested in investment. You might be interested in helping a family member. She has wonderful advice, tremendous experience, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to Real Estate Connections Podcast, where relationships open doors. I'm Mary Forrester, and housing is a universal need. We are often thinking about our existing housing, our future housing, that possibly of family members. This is where you're going to hear the issues and the people who are working the issues every day. Please hit subscribe and like if you find this podcast helpful to you. Thank you. And welcome back to Real Estate Connections Podcast. Today we have Suzanne Sharkey again. Oh, there are many blessings in this world. And I so enjoyed talking to Suzanne about maybe a month ago. And she's just awesome. And she's really happy today. And she'll tell you why soon. Suzanne Sharkey is a real estate investor. But more than that, she is the biggest networker I have ever met of people across the spectrum of renovating, selling, flipping, what we call flipping in a very generous term, houses. Not the lipstick. Lipstick on the pig means lipstick. No, Suzanne Sharkey is a real thing. Suzanne, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. I know the first time we got to chat together, one of the things that we didn't get to touch base on was one of the reasons why I kind of got launched into real estate, which was the funky stuff. And so now I do renovations because those pay the bills. But without question, the funky, interesting, off-market creative stuff is what really hooked me and got me into real estate. And so I'm super excited to join you again today and kind of maybe set the standard and foundation for what creative finances. And then we can go from there.
Great. So I was so intrigued. I looked you up again on LinkedIn. It says you studied supply chain management.
Yeah.
If that is not the right thing to have majored in for what you're doing, because there are a million moving parts in projects like you have. Okay. Yeah. Suzanne Sharkey, I am told, is the queen of creative financing. So, Suzanne, why don't you enlighten us? What is that? And let's see if my understanding of it is your understanding of it.
So I have a quick question before I start, which is, Miss Mary Forrester, what is your understanding of creative finance? What do you know so far?
Well, I know that on the flipping side of the world, I have financed flippers from my own Roth IRA.
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes I financed the deal and I was in on the deal. And sometimes I just financed the deal and got interest paid into my tax-free account with my Roth IRA.
Excellent.
Okay. So, and then the other part of it is when I started as a realtor in 2009, and thank you for the question. You're the very first guest I've had who's asked me a question. I'm honored. So, when I started as a realtor, it was 2009, and you had to give your firstborn to all of the underwriters in order to get a 20% down loan. That's what had happened. The world flipped on its head after all the subprime lending and the whole falling out of the housing market. So I know you're much younger than I am, and may or may not remember it through your mom, maybe, but it was a really rough time. And when my client said to me, when selling, and I sold my first house was $1 million in '09. They said, we're not putting 20% down. What am I going to do? And I scrounged around and I found them a conventional loan 10-10, 80-10-10, which was unheard of. So to me, that's creative, is getting out there and finding other than what is being forced at the time. Does that answer it?
Absolutely. So I take it all the way back to the beginning of time, even to like caveman times, right? What did we do once upon a time when ownership somehow was created on paper? And how did we pass that on? Because humans don't live forever, or people want to move, or people get married, or whatever the situation might happen. Back in the day when there were no mortgage companies out there, right? And we used maybe a different financial coin or currency. What did we do back then? Right. And so creative finance is kind of stepping out of the traditional box. The traditional box exists for lots of reasons. We have a government that says we do a high volume of transactions. We see how things go bad. Here's a laundry list of rules and regulations and things that we can do to put you in a very safe box. And so please try to follow the safe box. But sometimes that safe box doesn't work for everyone because everyone has different needs. The climate, the environment that you're in, the financial status that you have, medical, sometimes you have an emergency, things happen. And so creative finance takes a step out of that traditional box and says, listen, real estate is not a one size fits all for anybody. There is this quiet side of it that says we do things on our own terms. With that said, there's lots of areas for failure that can happen because now anything is possible. And for people that are newer into it, or usually the people that are in need of creative finance, usually something stressful is happening. Maybe a foreclosure, an auction, a stressful life event. What ends up happening is houses are not always assets. They are liabilities when they are not cash flowing. And very quickly, a liability can become overwhelming. And so when you have a stressful time crunch for whatever reason, whatever the climate is at that time, that's when some people step out of the box and say, listen, traditional real estate is not the fit for me. I'm going to have to come to the closing table with money, or I don't have funds to pay off, certain liens and whatnot. I need a different solution. So exactly like you, once upon a time, you operated in that realm and the solution that was in front of you was not the fit for you. You had to go back to the drawing board and figure out something. And lo and behold, the more you search, the more you found and stumbled upon something that did work for you. Mm-hmm. So creative finance is exactly that. It's the quiet part. It's the part that's not in the light is the usual way that I explain it. It's not a shameful part to be in. It's just not something that gets a lot of attention because it's hard to wrangle it. It's kind of in the dark, but there's definitely less red tape, rules and regulations to a certain extent. And that can also be a little bit dicey. And so that's why if I get the title that I might be the queen of creative finance, I'm very flattered to hear that. Because I think the part that I excel in the most is I am very ethically sound. Mm-hmm. I have led a lot of real estate organizations. I care about my name. I care about my friendship. I care about my work. I want to make people happy. And sometimes in a world of real estate where there's big money transferring hands, some people lose sight of that. So especially in the world of creative finance where anything is possible, you want somebody who's watching out for all parties. And that's usually what I try to do is balance and make sure that everyone's needs are met, because when that happens, that's when you have a successful transaction. And I'm not interested in anything but a successful transaction.
Mm-hmm. Satisfied when people are when all parties are satisfied.
Yes.
Right. They may not have gotten everything, but they're happy with what they have. What is the distinction between hard money and soft money? Was I doing hard money or soft money?
What was the second part of that?
What is soft money? What is hard money? When you go to a hard money lender?
I've never actually heard of soft money. Is that private money?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Hard money is kind of like hard money is anywhere from like 8 to 15%. It's a little bit more aggressive. They close faster. So a traditional mortgage company will offer you money. Usually it's a residential purchase, as most people are familiar with. And they'll lend you money. And they have sometimes first-time home buyers first-time homebuyer programs to make it really easy to step into home ownership. So
Mm-hmm.
you can put even the VAs ask for 0% down. First-time homebuyer, maybe 5% down. You get into conventional at, 5, 10, 20% down. And then you get it morph into the world of DSCR, which is debt service coverage ratio. But for the most part, a hard money lender is somebody that says we're a little bit more aggressive than the traditional mortgage lender. We will lend money to you on this property that clearly needs work. So not only will we give you money for the acquisition, we'll also give you money for the rehab, because that's how we force equity. That's how we kind of make money together. The hard money lender wants to get their money back with interest, and I want to force the equity of the property so that I can earn money on my activities.
Mm-hmm.
So a hard money lender, depending upon the deal, so they're going to look at your credit worthiness. How responsible are you with money? They're going to look at the deal, how sound the deal is, because they're not going to give you money on a property that they can't get their funds back out of.
Right.
Their whole goal is to get their money back with interest. And so they're going to make a safe investment. What else is there? That's pretty much it. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's the deal, and then how much they're comfortable lending you. But a hard money lender is going to probably allow you to close anywhere from 7 to 30 days. So very fast.
Mm-hmm.
They'll give you money for rehab funds depending upon if you need them or not. The interest rate is much higher. 8% is very low. Normally, I think starting out, we would pay like 3 points and 10% was basic. And then
Wow.
the better that you get, the cheaper that they'll make the cost of money for you, but it can get very expensive very fast. Yeah.
And they're private lenders largely. Are they private lenders
So
or institutional?
private lenders are considered a little bit different. Private lenders are kind of like person to person. Hard money lender is very much an institution.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a traditional mortgage. Remember how you were saying that you had to sign away your whole life and your
Right.
firstborn kind of
Right.
deal?
Right.
It is like that, but I would say maybe about 75% of the paperwork. So probably 25% less paperwork and a lot faster is how you get to hard money. It's very much an institution that does it. Private money, or maybe what you're referring to as soft money, is person to person. So if you had money in your IRA, self-directed IRA, wherever you had money from, and you wanted to use it to invest in a property as a private lender, you're not an institution, you're not anybody but just a normal whole person. We could make a deal together and we could say, okay, Mary wants to be involved at this deal at about $50,000 she's lending. I pay my hard money lender maybe about 12% when I figure out all the fees. If she's going to borrow from me, maybe I'm going to pay her 10%. So you get to earn 10% on your money. I get to save about 2% on the money that I would be borrowing. I have to borrow money anyway, usually. So if I can borrow from a person, that's slightly better because it kind of cuts out the middleman to a certain extent. Again, we get to meet both of our needs. So
Mm-hmm.
again, this is the same thing as creative finance. You can either acquire a house from a seller, doing it this way, something creative between the two of you, or you could do the same thing where it's just a small amount of financing, or
Mm-hmm.
we could do the whole financing depending upon what your appetite is.
So in
Yeah.
creative financing, all your work has been around the whole area of rehab. Is that right? It's about
Usually
flipping
acquisitions,
acquisitions.
creative finance. So for example, the house that I'm sitting in today, I got a call on Thursday night that said the house is going to go to auction on Monday, and Lord only knew what was going to happen.
This
But what
house
we
you're in right now.
Yes, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I bought it 3 years ago. I bought it for my dog because it's super isolated. And I bought it for my dog. And I got a call on Thursday night, and I used to be a leader of a real estate group, and so he had called me and he said, "How do I do this?" And I was like, "Do what?" And I was like, "Okay, let me see what you got. I'll take a look at it with you." And then I was like, okay, it's a viable deal, but you need money. Do you have somebody to lend you money? He's like, no. I was like, okay, well, let me look at it again. Maybe I'll be your lender on this. And I looked at it and I said, okay, I think I can handle that. Who's your buyer? I don't have a buyer. I was like, okay, let me take a look at it. And I was like, I might be your buyer. And it was a great deal. So I picked this one up for about $240,000. I think I came to the table with about $40,000 cash, about 10% to the wholesaler. So I paid him a fee to bring me the deal. I think the owner got paid about $12,000 is what she was looking for, which she was happy with, because had she not done that, she would have walked away with zero money and she would have had a foreclosure on her record. So because we get to do this, she got $12,000. She got to avoid a foreclosure on her record. And every payment that I make on her behalf, because it was her mortgage that we kept in place, I make the payments to her mortgage on her behalf. I rebuild her credit. So after 24 consecutive months of on-time payments, her credit is better, in a way better position than what it was when I acquired the house, because she wasn't making payments on it.
Mm-hmm. And why is it going to auction?
Her husband passed away. She got very depressed. She moved in with her daughter in Texas, and she forgot about the house. She tried to sell it while she was in Texas, and it was a nightmare. There were some questions with the foundation of the house, and she essentially walked away when he passed away. She was that devastated by it. And so I think this was a year and a half later of no payments being made that she was being threatened with foreclosure. And I don't know how the guy found her, but the guy found her and then called me and asked me to help him take a look at it and untangle the mess. And in the process of doing that, did I realize, okay, this is really short timing. So you need to get somebody who knows what they're doing to pay attention to what you have. Everybody has a, like, whatever the expression is, a 10 category 10 fire alarm. Everybody's burning down. Everybody needs attention. But for me to get involved, the question always becomes, what's worth my time and attention? Because everybody's needing something. And so this one was a great one because he called me late on a Thursday night. I adore this kid, not a kid, very much a grown man, but I adore him. He's just slightly younger than me, which is why I call him a kid. But I adore him. He has great, excellent work ethic, and he was helping a woman. And I know what it's like to be a single woman who feels disenfranchised. And so he said all the right words that made me stop and listen. And we had a very short timeline from Thursday night to Sunday at midnight is when I sent the wire. So I needed to send, I think 18,000 was her arrears. So when you don't make your on-time payments, you start collecting your bad debt of arrears. And so she needed to pay her arrears to stop the foreclosure. So I did a bad job, which was without paperwork. Between the two of us, I ended up sending in the money to stop the foreclosure on her behalf, which was dangerous for me, but that's what I was doing 3 years ago when I knew less. The good news is that everything worked out because everybody did exactly what they said they would do, but also in part in saying that, that doesn't always happen. And those are some of the negative stories that I've seen along the way, which is why whenever I tell anybody about creative finance, it does sound very romantic and amazing and glorious, but you really do need solid practitioners. They're going to tell you exactly what the weak parts are, the risks that you're taking on, and what you're exchanging those risks for. And as long as everybody is on the same page and everything is transparent, that's what I call when the stars align and you have a satisfactory transaction.
And who are those people? Go ahead.
The worst part is to have a terrible transaction because one of the main vehicles in which we do creative finance is usually we purchase the property with the debt included. So we don't pay off the debt. We become responsible for making payments to the existing debt. And then if there's a difference between the valuation of the property and the existing debt, then we make a plan to get that equity over to the seller.
Okay, very good. Yeah. So we are talking in kind of as you said, kind of a quiet area of lending. But if you were just ordinary human being, you have a mortgage, you have now found out that a relative is going to lose their home, and you want to step in there and see if and how you can help. Where would they get advice for doing something that they may not be able to qualify conventionally at their local credit union? Where would they go?
So first thing first, I always start with is what are the needs of the seller? Because if you're not able to identify and meet the needs of the seller, I'm sorry, but you don't have a transaction. Many people come in and they try to think, well, how can I meet my needs as a buyer? How can I benefit from this person's situation? No. If you're a family member and somebody needs to sell their house and for whatever reason they're having trouble selling on the traditional market, just talk to them. Figure out their needs that are not being met with traditional real estate. And then exactly what you do with this podcast, where you bring together people and professionals that help each other talk to people. One of my favorite people is, what is his name? Oh, I forgot his name, but I know exact. Brent Daniels out of Arizona. He has a thing called TTP, which is talk to people. And I think it's so effing genius, like Nike, just do it. You'd have to talk to people. Any pickle that I've ever run into in my life has always been sorted out by talking to people. Not everyone's going to have your answer, or maybe you figure out your answer, or you figure out the next best step by talking it out with people. But having a quality group of friends that you can trust, have high ethics and morality intact, very important. And then having friends. So when you were saying that you think I'm great at networking, I will tell you this. I am very much an introvert. I don't like leaving my house, and I don't party all the time. I don't. I like to do my house things with my dog and the people that I love. But without question, real estate is very much a team sport, and you need good friends in this business, and you make good friends by doing good work together. And so all along the way, for like the last 5 years, 6 years that I've been doing this, I've been making good friends along the way. And that's also why I have meetups too, because it's a great time to celebrate having great friendships and introducing others to each other. But yeah, talk to people all the way back. Talk to whoever is selling, figure out what is the problem, reach out to your network of professionals and talk to them. Talk to them. She's trying to do this and she doesn't think she can do that because this, that, the other. What are the other options we are not seeing? The same way that you found the solution to your problem, somebody gave you an answer that was not going to cut it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do? You went to the drawing board before AI and Chat GPT and
right, exactly.
maybe even Google search engines. You kept asking questions, you kept talking to people, and somehow you found your way forward. So I love the idea of, when you're driving to California in the middle of the night and you only have your front lights on and you can only see the first 10 feet in front of you. If that's all you can see, then that's all you do. It's one step at a time. You don't need to see the entire thing forwards, but keep moving forward. Keep trying to get traction if that's what feels right for you.
I love it. I love your enthusiasm for this and for problem solving. In a way, it's really, it's life. We can sit back and be paralyzed in the fear.
Yeah.
Or we can go talk to people. And that's really good. One area I got involved in was REI, real estate investment groups, I guess is what it is. And I have to say that I would say a warning. You should have to be careful sometimes in these because you don't know these people. You don't know some of these people. And some people are expert salespeople about who they are and what they offer. So your message about trusted individuals, what I do is sometimes if I don't like what I see and I'm ready to set up a program on, let's say, a financing mechanism, I'll call a conservative finance person and say, tell me about this. And who would you go to if you were interested in knowing more about this?
Yes.
And just to kind of gather as much information as possible, put a fence around it. But I love it. I love it. What's your next project, Suzanne?
So I have a couple, and I'll tell you about the top two. So I buy properties all the time. As you know, my significant other is a wholesaler, so he brings me deals all the time. And I didn't know this, but he had a crush on me. So that's also why he brought me all his deals, as he was always trying to work with me. And I wasn't picking it up. But you can always buy deals out there. And so constantly I see a stream of incoming deals. I have one that I've been working with, again, another single woman. Her son passed away. There were squatters in the property. She did not winterize the house and ended up having a pipe burst. And I told her, no matter what, I will buy this house from you. Don't worry about it. I'm not going anywhere. And so we've been working on that, I want to say, since December 2023. So we are now approaching 3 years. She's been in probate. I've never stepped away from her, given up on her. I've always pushed resources towards her, but I think we're coming down the finish line. So that's one that I'm excited for. I'm also stressed out about it because I swear there's a groundhog living in there and just pooping inside and eating all the foam in the couch. And because there was a pipe burst, there's mold, and that would be my first mold, and mold makes me nervous. But I have friends and I have a contractor group, so I'll find my way forward. And I very much believe that the universe gives me challenges that I need. Everything works out perfectly. So whatever comes, I will be able to handle it, and there will be growth on the other side. And the other one is, again, I'm very much not interested in regular real estate. I'm only interested in the ugliest of ugly. But the ugliest of ugly, I think, is almost the most exciting because it's the ones that have the biggest amount of heartache and trouble and problem. And if I can solve that, that's one of the best kind of problems to solve. It's the most exciting for me. So the second one is Millstone. Millstone is a property that I found with my dog. He was a puppy. The contractors used to open the door and he used to run outside all the time out of this house. And I used to chase him down 7 houses down. There was this vacant house, Millstone. It's at the end of a cul-de-sac. And I was like, nobody's here and I know that. And so every day he would run away. Every day I'd be at that house just looking at it, trying to convince my daughter to come listen to me. And I ended up calling them. It was another probate deal stuck in probate. I talked to the daughters and we really liked each other. And the house I was working on was the same house that they had sleepovers in. And so when they saw the transformation that happened, they're like, I know that house. We've done dinners at that table. We've done sleepovers in that living room. We used to play downstairs in the basement. We had a mural. And I was like, I know. I have pictures. But anyway, so I had their house lined up. And then about 2 years ago, my best friend in real estate ended up stealing from me. And it's his loss because we're no longer friends. And also I know he's in a world of trouble because the mess he's created is huge. There's about 2 private lenders on that property and then him that's attached to it. I have an offer on the table or an opportunity on the table to get that property back. And so that's one of my big things that I would love to do is I would love to make good on the promises that I gave the daughters because I told them a certain vision. And then it got hijacked by this lender that I brought to the table. And if I can remediate and solve all of that would make me feel really good. So Millstone is very much another big project that I would love. It's in Andover. It would have been my first $1 million property. So I have like all the juicy dreams. You know me, I've always been on a budget and I'm decent with a budget, but sometimes like I would love to do wallpaper. I would love to do delicious marble, stone everywhere, beautiful trim work and things like that. I would love to try some new finishes, usually stone. I'm in love with stone. Pretty much stone and wallpaper. So I would love to do something like that. And yeah, I have this vision of in my head on closing day, just like laughing our asses off in the kitchen around this island with the sisters. So I would love to get there, but that's another project that I have coming down the pipeline. Hopefully I can speed up the timeline on that, but what will be will be, and when the time comes I'll be ready for it.
Wow, you are patient, but I can just see you wanting to bust out. You know, when on the few flips that I did, it was low middle. I kept saying, oh, I've got to stay at low middle, you know, which is keeping the cost very managed and everything started to look like each other. It was, and then you just want to bust out, and so I'm happy for you. That is terrific.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your project in Nashua, New Hampshire. And you're going to have your meetup or your open house there soon?
So okay. It's a meetup. I think you have the link to it. If not,
I do.
I will spam you again so you do not miss out on it. Okay. But I would love to have you there. Your audience is also welcome there. It's actually in partnership with our lender, Backflip, as well. So Mark's network, who is my significant other, he ran a whole meetup. He had a meetup thing that he ran through meetup.com, and that's more wholesaler based. Then I have my contractor group, I have my cash buyer friends, and then I have my lender who's going to show you how easy it is to power your project through Backflip. We use them for this project. I'm very much a shopper because I'm usually on a budget. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I spend a lot of money on is lenders because my projects take time. And they're one of the most competitive lenders out there, very much an institutional hard money lender, but it's more accessible. And you know that that's my theme, that if you want to do this, there's no need to make this more convoluted than it needs to be. Let's try to make this as accessible as possible. Let's make this as sane as possible. And so Backflip very much does that. But it's August 22nd at 2 p.m. It's absolutely free. Please register so that we have enough food and drink for you. Read the details because parking is going to be off street. So I'll show you how to do that well. But I'm so excited to have everybody there, and it's a party because we're celebrating. I'll go over all the good lessons that I learned and all the mistakes that I made. Ask any and all questions. But again, my goal is to help make real estate as accessible as possible, because real people need real help out there. And the more you know, and the more you're willing to try, or maybe even just talk to people or connect to the next person, the less suffering there'll be out there, the more joy there'll be out there. And so those are things that I like and want to work towards.
My goodness, the passion. We can touch your passion. Thank you so much. And thank you for just making our homes just more beautiful all the time, and making the communities more beautiful all the time. Thank you so much, Suzanne Sharkey. And I know we'll be visiting again soon.
Yay!
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you found this conversation useful to you and your real estate goals. You'll find the contact information for our guests and any links they recommend you have in the show notes. And should we be able to help you identify some strong real estate professionals in your area, drop us a note at info@realestateconnectionspodcast.com. Thanks again, and bye for now.